Hi, I'm Becca and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how you can make lots of buttons, impressions and wax seals just by using some lovely buttons that I'm sure you've all got lots of them in your stash, and this is just my basket. I just tipped them out in just so that I could see them better. And then you're just going to need some corks, which I'll talk to you about once we get going, and they're really easy, they don't take long to do, and like I said, you can just replicate a button as many times as you want. So let's get started and I'll show you how to do it. Right, so to make our little stamps, moulds and whatever you want to call them really, you're going to need some buttons, some nice fancy buttons that I'm sure that all those crafters have got a tub or a basket like what I've got that have got all these fancy buttons in that we think they're just too nice to use. Now they're good for making impressions in clay or using them as cabochons and things like that, but sometimes you want to be able to use it more than once. So what I've thought of doing is these stamps and moulds with them. And I went to a place called the Recycle Yard, which is a sort of a craft thrift store sort of thing. I've mentioned it in the past. And I bought myself a bag of wine corks, if that's what you want to call them. In fact, let me just take some of those out of there so I'm not rattling too much in the video. So what we're going to do is we're just going to pick one of these buttons to replicate. Now these are some of the ones that I've already done, so I want to pick something for you that's totally different. Obviously these that are flat, I'm not going to be able to use those to make impressions or anything, but those would make really nice cabochons if I wanted to bead around them. Same with this one. This would actually make a nice texture, so you could make that as a stamp or a texture stamp, but you wouldn't be able to sort of replicate it the same as what it is, if that makes sense, because it's just got all these little jagged bits. Don't know how well you can see it from that side. So that would definitely be more of just a textured thing, I would say, unless you're cleverer than me and you can figure out how to make it exactly like that. So if you can, put it in the comments below and I'd love to know. So right, so I've already got a couple of parts and two different round ones. See what else I've got. See, that one's quite different, so I'll go with that one. Or see, I know as a child I used to love going through my mum's and my grandma and my nan's button box, and they always used to fascinate me, and I loved the sound that it made when I was going through them. Which one should we go? I think we'll go for this round one. There's quite a lot of them. They're heart shapes, and I don't want to have just a bunch of heart shaped ones because that's the same as that one, I think, but smaller. Yeah, that's ever so slightly smaller than that one. So I could have two different sizes of that one. Let's go with one of these ones. Right, let's go with this one here. So the other thing that you're going to need is just some scrap clay. Now if you haven't got any scrap clay, you can use your coloured clay. It's just that it's not really going to matter what colour you have for your mould. It's just personal preference. If you like your moulds to look all the same and you want to use a nice uniform colour, then have at it, that's absolutely fine. I just like using my scrap clay because I want to keep my coloured clay, you know, for other projects. So I've softened this off a fair bit. Now what I'm going to be doing is pressing it down into it. Now I know I've got way too much clay here, because if you look, you want it to be just a little bit deeper than what the actual button is. So let's just chop a bit of this off, because you're going to be making it smaller anyway once you've got it pressed into it. But you need your clay to be really, really soft, just so that you can get all those little impressions from your button pressed in. Okay, so I've got that down. So I'm going to sort of just flatten it out, just so that it's a bit bigger than what the button actually is. So that's about right, I'd say. Okay. Right. And then the next thing, you want to just take some water. I prefer water for this one. You could use cornstarch, but I've just got water. It's just what I've always used. So right, now you just want to spray your clay, and I've also been spraying the button that I've been using, and we're just going to press it down into the clay. Now if you're struggling, you could always take your acrylic block and press it down like this. Now what the water will do is stop it from sticking to the clay. Now that's moving around a fair little bit on my board, so I'm just going to get some kitchen foam just to wipe off all my water that I'm not needing. Now because I've pressed that down fairly well, I should have a good impression. But if not, all you do is just roll your clay up and go again. So I need to, let's see if I can get it out with this. And the other thing you can do is, in fact, if you leave it in before here, if it's gone too far up, you can just take your blade and flatten it going round. Or just do it with your fingers. And there. So I can see there, oh, I've actually had some clay go into there, that's how soft that one was. If there's any areas that are not fully right, so which I think they're all alright apart from those two little bits there. So I'm going to roll it back up again. Get these little bits out. I want you to see that it doesn't always go right first time for me, just because I'm doing videos, because it don't for anybody really, for any craft. If anybody makes out that they do, then they're like because yeah, it's all trial and error doing these things. I've made moulds before, but then when I've thought of doing the buttons like this, and I thought I need something sort of a handle, and then I got the corks, which are just perfect. I'm not too sure what else you could actually use. You might be able to think of something else. I just thought these are easy to cut through for the back of the button. Right, so I'm going to smooth down again. Flatten it out. And just make sure you've not made it too thin so that your button is deeper than clay. Is it even? Oh, just down with it again. And this is when you can push up around it as well. Okay. Much better. There's all these little bits here that I think they got left over from the first time I did it. Take them out. I think I've grabbed them from the inside when I've pressed it down. And they're just all little loose bits and they'll come out. So all you need to do with this now is to bake it. Just put it in the oven like you would do any other project that you're doing, and just let it go and get hard and cool down, and then you'll be able to use it as a mould. So for us to use it as a stamp, first of all we need to take out any bit of clay that we've still got left in here. Right. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we just need our cork. So you just want to take a craft knife, and what we're going to do is, because this book, oh no, it's actually a round on that one, so because what I've been doing with the other ones is, and they've got a shank on the back like this, you just need like a little rectangle, and I'll just show you that because we're going to have to do a circle one anyway, but I've just been doing this. Cut like sort of shaping out the rectangle area, and then I've been picking it out, but obviously with this one being a round one, I'll just draw a rough shape. It doesn't have to be precise, just so that that middle bit will go down. to make it loosen up the inside, just go across with your blade and it'll just break it when it'll be easy for you to pick it out. When you think you've got a good amount out, just do a test run. You need to go a little bit bigger because you want to be able to push it down so it's completely flat to the cork. And then we're going to put this on here. Now I've been using E6000 simply because I know that when I glue something down with this, it is not going to move. It sets like rock. So that's why I'm using this. I got mine from AliExpress, but you can get it off of different websites and things like that. You know, Temu and all them, they probably do it as well, but this is just what I've got. And it's that eager to get out. It's gone all over me now. Now, if you've not used this before, I'll warn you, it does have a smell. It's a solvent-based glue, so if you're sensitive to these sort of things, make sure you've got a window open or the door open, depending on if the weather's nice enough for you to be able to do that, or find something that's not going to cause you any repercussions really from it. So put my rubber glue on. Now this does take a little while to dry, so that's it. I'm just pressing it in. Now, as you can see here, I've got some excess around the sides. I'm just want to take a cocktail stick. Now, these are ones that I've been glazing beads with, so it doesn't really matter we're getting something on it. It's not one that I'm using for mark making or anything like that. But cocktail sticks are really cheap anyway. Cheap as chips, as they say over here in Yorkshire. There we go. And then that will set and you've got a perfect stamp. But you can also use it as a wax seal stamp. So if you've got some of the melting wax for when you want to do it onto an envelope and you want to make a seal for the outside, you can use your metal buttons to make wax seals as well. So once they're baked, and so these are the ones that I've already made moulds from, so the ones that I've already showed you. So I'm going to show you how you can actually use them now to replicate something. So you could use it to make more buttons, or if you just want to make it as a cabochon or a centerpiece for anything, then, you know, build your oyster. You can basically do whatever you want with it. So I'm just going to take some clay and just give you a quick demo of it. In fact, before we scrunch it up, I'll just show you them as a stamp. So just to make sure that this doesn't stick, again, just giving a bit of a squirt with water, and then I can push down into that clay and I get that lovely impression into my clay. Now, I didn't really spend much time doing that, did I? So you can get a lot better impression. Just make sure that you have a nice even pressure and you try not to rock it too much, because otherwise you're going to distort your pattern from whatever you're doing. So that's just how you can use them as a stamp, and it's just the same process for wax seals. So let's just take a little bit of this. Now again, you want to have some really nice soft clay. This is sculpture print, is really soft and easy to condition, so it shouldn't take too long for you to be able to get something ready to do with this. Okay, so I've got my clay conditioned now, so let's go with this one. Put them to the side. Now, as you can see, because this is a pearl type clay, because it's gold, it's got all these marbling sort of marks in it. I think that looks quite nice on the pieces, but if you don't like that, then you would have to just use a regular colour that's not got any mica shift in it. It's just how gold clay is really. And I'm just going to roll it around with my hand. And if you've made lentil beads before, and you generally use an acrylic block to make them, you get that lentil shape. If you use it with your hand, you can get the same effect, but obviously not as defined as what you do with a completely flat tool that you use with your lentils. So there we go, so we've got a nice pointed dome there. Let's give it a little bit of water, don't want to have too much on and be slipping everywhere. Okay, so and then I'm just going to pop that in. The reason we're doing the point is just so that it can go down into the deepest parts of the mould. So just push down. And I must apologise for my hands looking all dry and grubby at the minute. We're in full garden mode at the moment at my house, and the amount of washing to get all the dirt and things out of our hands, it's making them really, really dry. So as you can see, all the clays, the colour of the clay is just sticking to my hands more than normal. So I do apologise if anybody doesn't like watching people with dodgy hands. So I do apologise for that. Okay. So we've got it pressed down into it. Now I'm just going to try and make sure that it's kept in place, and I'm going to try and cut along the edge of the mould. So I'm trying to hold it in place so you can see. So we're going to go along there. Not move too much. I don't want to squid it out too much. So I've got the majority of it going up there. You can see, got most of it. It just didn't connect on the back. Yeah. We can neaten that up. You can take more time with doing it. I'm just trying to show you quickly because I don't want you to be bored watching me forever and a day. Now, I don't know how well you can see, but on the clay it's got all the little impressions of what were in that button. Across the tip of that's come off just a little bit. I'm going to just take my gift card and just neaten up that point of the heart. I'll lift it up now so that you can see. I hope you can see it's got all the little impressions in. Now, well, you can see it. Probably not picked the best colour for me to actually show you with it, but I like all these sort of marbling effects with it. So again, that's just personal preference. If it's not got as deep of impression as you want, then just roll your clay back up and just start all over again, and just take your time with doing it depending on what you're wanting it for. If you're wanting buttons for something, if you're making the buttons for a garment, then obviously you want all your buttons to be uniform, so you will take that extra time just to make sure that they are all uniform shapes. But because you've made your own mould from your button, you can replicate that button as many times as you want, or like I say, you can use them as cabochons or you can use them as beads. There's all sorts of different things that you can do with them. So yeah, so we'll go and create some nice stamps and moulds with your scrap clay, some buttons and some corks. I hope you've enjoyed that, and it's sort of inspired you to have a little go at doing it yourself. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments. I'm always happy to answer them. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up, that'd be appreciated. And if you've not subscribed, if you consider subscribing, that'd be appreciated too, because I've just hit the 1,000 subscriber mark and I'm over the moon with it. So if you could subscribe if you haven't, that'd be absolutely fantastic. So the next goal is to get to 2,000. So like I say, if you've got any questions, feel free to ask me, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye.